safe till the morning light. Well, good morning. Thank you so much. That was just lovely. Well, welcome to Unity Church-Unitarian on this misty, moisty April morning. I'm the Reverend Karen Gustafson, the Interim Minister of Pastoral Care, and today I'm sharing the service with Ari Giles, one of our new worship associates, whose wisdoms and prescience has already come as a great gift to me. We look forward to greeting you in the lobby on our way out, or on your way out. We're coming back for the next service. And I want to offer a special welcome to those of you who are here for the first time today. Following our service, we have coffee in the parish hall over here out this door, and we hope that you will join us with all of the regular attenders who, if they do not greet you, will not be able to find their cars when they leave. There is also an opportunity for those who are joining us on the YouTube to join with one another in a time of fellowship. So we are so glad that you are all here. May your burdens be lightened and your joys expanded.
Here we are, in our circle again, a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are, at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time. Here we are, gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds community together. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows, faced and befriended. With a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love truer than all our inner trembling. Let us model the health we seek for all and lean into community. Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds. Come, let us worship together.
standing for our responsive reading number 654. Deep in ourselves resides the religious impulse. We have religion when we stop deluding ourselves that we are self-sufficient, self-sustaining, or self-derived. We have religion when our hearts are capable of leaping up in beauty, when our nerves are edged by some dream in the heart. We have religion when we look upon people with all their failings and still find in them good, when we look upon people to the grandeur in nature and to the purpose in our own heart. Each time we gather together for worship, we set aside a time to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. Together we recognize the cycles of life and death, the circle of love, compassion, and witness that is at the center of this and every sacred community. We stand at the side of parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is the care of children. With those who live with grief or chronic pain, with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental disability or addiction. We pray for our neighbors in prison, those who care for families in ill health, those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty. Our lives are blessed by those who knowingly and with curiosity and courage face their final days, and by those who rise above heartbreak and challenge and oppression in all of its forms. We pray for those in harm's way, for the wisdom and strength of the leaders of the world, and for the people of this courageous congregation, as together we live into our longings to embody and to help build the beloved community. Will you pray with me for those we now name? We hold in care Bill Gray, who has returned home after an extended hospital stay. He is now in the care of hospice, and his family, his children and his grandchildren, and the spouses of his children have gathered around to support him during this time. And we offer care and comfort to Barbara Washburn, whose sister Nancy died last week at the end of a long journey with Alzheimer's. And we add to our litany of concern all those who are struggling to find access to reproductive choice, while the loss of life to gun violence goes unabated. Please join me in prayer. Spirit of life and love and service, in whom we live and move and have our being. We give thanks for this week's glimpse into summer and for the humility that accompanies the normal offerings of spring. As we face our joys and sorrows, may we do so mindful that we are shaped and carried by a mystery well within our knowing. That the wisdom of the seasons is in the movement we experience together, from the fallowness of winter to the awakening of spring, to the full breadth and intensity of summer, and the fading brilliance of autumn, and again, to the fallowness of winter, and on before and beyond the gifts and losses of this day. As we claim the illusion of control, the power of fleeting joy, and the inevitable grief of parting, the unfairness of privilege, the complexity of grace, and embrace the human condition. May we know that we are held in the wisdom of the turning earth. Blessed be, and amen.
Each of us is a flower.
If the hope of giving is to love the living, the giver risks madness in the act of giving. Some such lesson I seem to see in the faces surrounding me. Needy and blind, unhopeful, unlifted. What gift would give them the gift to be gifted? The giver is no less adrift than those who are clamoring for the gift. If they cannot claim it, if it is not there, if their empty fingers beat the empty air, and the giver goes down on his knees in prayer, knows that all his giving has been for naught, and that nothing was ever what he thought, and turns in his guilty bed to stare at the starving multitude standing there, and rises from bed to curse at heaven, he must yet understand that to whom much is given, much will be taken, and justly so. I cannot tell how much I owe.
Well, good morning again. If this is your first time at Unity Church, or if someone or something, or if you are someone whose attention has been focused on something else, this month's worship theme is sacrifice. It is a theme that had been taken up in sermons and in our small spiritual practice groups, and in many, many conversations. In all of its complexity, it shows up as the lead article in our community newsletter. Well, no topic in many years has given this minister so much pause to ponder. I grew up in a family that was essentially unchurched. In my family, I never remember ever hearing the word sacrifice. My parents worked really hard. They were, in the course of time, rewarded for their efforts with a home and a small business, good friends, and a comfortable retirement. They were married young, in the mid-1920s, and had children early and then late again, and that would be me. My father graduated from junior college in 1929 with dreams of becoming a chemistry teacher. That summer, he and my pregnant mother and their young son moved to the Northwoods for a summer job. The Great Depression happened, and there was no money for school. And so there they remained for the rest of their lives. My father did not complete a degree, though his 4 children all did. But I do not ever remember hearing the phrase, he sacrificed his education. My sense always was that he had chosen a path and made the most of it. In fact, I do remember a time when I was at a crossroads in my own life, hearing him say to me that it was not so much about making the right choice, but about making the choice I made the right one. My mother had her first central heating in 1953. That probably seems like a long time ago to some of you, but to others, not so long. She was ecstatic And she felt blessed every single morning that she woke up in her own little house that my dad built. Did she consider this a reward for some kind of sacrifice? Were all those years of stoking a wood stove somehow redeemed? Maybe. But those were not words that I ever heard, or even the sense that I ever got from her. No sense of bubbling resentment or questioning her lot. Cheerful and resourceful and matter-of-fact often, disappointed and discouraged sometimes. Choices, trade-offs, maybe even lemonade from lemons. But sacrifice? Who can say? Who indeed? Who gets to decide, to make the call that an act or a choice is a sacrifice? In this month in which we have in many settings been considering the theme of sacrifice, I have been struck by how much of what is considered as sacrifice is determined by the lens through which we view the distribution of time, talent, and treasure. How do we leverage our resources for a greater good? If we view sacrifice as a commitment to something of lasting value over something more attractive or ephemeral, then the thoughtful consideration of value and ephemera figure decisively into the choices we make, and even when the outcomes disappoint us or are not of lasting value, we often still claim the value of our intent. This is one of the ways in which making choices becomes a spiritual practice, that we make choices that take into account the possibility of a more worthy outcome. Perhaps as a result of my own plucky parenting, my own best understanding of sacrifice is as a category of trade-off. Every act, everything we do necessarily involves the not doing of a whole lot of other things. At best, we engage in assessing and valuing our choices within the context of particular relationships and locations, and larger choices and commitments that limit the number of options from which we choose in any given moment. For example, today, we all settled in on the choice to be here. The trade-offs necessary to be here were different for every single one of us. Some of us could have stayed home and read the rest of the New York Times. Some of us could have used an extra hour of sleep. Some of you out there are out of habit or commitment, did not even give a second thought to where else you might be. For some, it may have been a harder choice, a long-standing commitment to be here to make coffee, or to be an usher on this Sunday, or to bring your children with whom you share an investment in the religious education life of Unity Church, or your children were singing in the choir. For you, the draw of the New York Times, or a book, or even a deferred home improvement project may have lent a hint of sacrifice to your choice to be here. But maybe only because you added to the other value of your being here the element or of needs and expectations of others. The larger value is the value of community. Here we are. Here we are together. Here we are together as individuals, yes, with our minds and hearts open and weary and broken and joyful, grieving and celebrating and longing for connection and belonging and peace and stimulation and so much more, so many of the things we come to receive. But our willingness to make trade-offs to be here matters. At best, we are more than a group of individuals with needs to be met. We are here in relationship, not just to one another, but to a whole that we create together. We are seeking something we can't get from the New York Times and in service to something that is a lasting value. Does that make it a sacrifice? I am not a Christian, but I do believe in something that I know to be sacred energy. Call it God, if you do, but it is found in the wholeness of our togetherness at our best. Community is where it lives. Community that we make together. Some of it comes from just showing up, being here instead of someplace else. Whether in person or on YouTube, you are here with your time, adding a voice to the hymns and the responsive readings, consciously being and feeling the presence of others that you may or may not even know, and then seeking ways to draw from and give back to the whole. We are here with our gifts, greeting strangers, serving coffee, staffing the library, teaching children, writing messages to those we mention in prayer. We are here with our treasure, our pledges, our donut money, our offering to community agencies, all financial choices, at best, made with the idea that we are adding value to the sacred energy of a greater whole. Unitarian Universalist faith formation can sometimes place so much emphasis upon our individual journeys that we lose sight of the power of our togetherness. Community worship, the shared mission of the congregation, the relationship to our larger movement, and even our common covenant can seem incidental to the particular ways that spiritual or social needs are met by a church program. What we can lose sight of is the lasting value that we are creating together in our giving that becomes the very stuff that is available for us to receive. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. The leadership of a church I consulted with once was struggling with an underlying sense of dis-ease. There was some low-level conflict brewing there, fueled by a series of disappointments and ministerial transitions. At a leadership retreat, I invited the participants into a circle. On each chair, there was a taper that was mounted in a standalone candle holder. Each participant in the circle was invited to light their own candle in turn with a lighter passed around the circle, and when they lit their candle, to speak into the circle the gifts that they had to offer the church. An invitation for everyone then came to go to the center of the circle with their lighted candle and join their candle flames in the lighting of the chalice, and to leave their lighted candles on the chalice table. Then there was an invitation for everyone to return to their seats and close their eyes. And in that silent space, I the all-powerful, went forward and blew out all but 5 of the candles and left the chalice candle burning. And then I returned the candles to the people in the circle. Now, if you can imagine yourself in that circle, opening your eyes and finding that you had a candle now that might be unlit, or that you were one of only a few with a flame in your candle. Now I said, find a source of light in the room to rekindle your flame. The dance is slow. The silence is deep as the folks cast a gaze around the circle and begin to check out their options. Proximity was a choice in the first cut. Find the closest candle. Affinity, the choice of others. Find a friend with a flame. Authority, the choice of a few. Get your light from the board chair or a minister. And in that circle of 30 church leaders, not one person rekindled their light from the chalice that bore the light of the many. Had institutional instability eroded the trust in the power of what they were creating together? Had they ever claimed that power for themselves? Had years of focusing on problem solving drawn them so far into the weeds that the only safety was held in the particular relationships or the path of least resistance, finally only finding light only in the trusted individuals or from the nearest source? In the wedding ceremony, we see a similar ritual in the unity candle, ignited from candles representing the gifts that each of the individuals brings, joining flame to represent the new entity that is their marriage. The third thing to which they commit, to nourish as the tiebreaker, the deal maker beyond the fragile particulars of human individuals. It is the something greater. It is the God energy created in the best of our togetherness. It is the chalice, the mission, the covenant. It is what calls us to choose to contribute to this effort we call beloved community. It is the greater value that brings us out on a snowy morning or has us in front of our screens when we could be in bed with a book. Sacrifice? Who gets to name that? I think only you get to say. To name what is true for you, to claim the value of your choices relative to what you know to be true, and to decide what will be the value of your choice. To be here, to participate in the creating of this beloved community. The literature of institutional church often refers to the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work or financial contributions in any church are provided by 20% of the members. I don't know if that's a useful statistic or if it's even true, but I do believe that all of the ways in which we encourage one another to actively engage in the life of this beloved community add to the God energy we all share. As we engage in the practice of assessing and valuing our choices and trade-offs, whether or not we understand or name them as sacrifice, these are the questions we might consider. What are the easy choices and what are the hard ones? What choice of time, talent, and treasure that you can offer lead to a more expansive engagement? What choices are you making that because of their limits? What do you offer that supports the community or mission of unity that has no tangible reward for you, but might have great reward for others? How does your engagement create space for others to engage and feel their part in the greater whole? Are you mentoring your replacements? What are you willing to trade for more meaningful participation in things that extend your most passionately held values? I, as always, am grateful to be sharing this journey with you. These are my questions, too. I wonder now if my parents actively engaged with these kinds of questions as they made their considerable contributions to their community and all of the expansive and nourishing wholes of which they were a part. I will never know, but I know that I can choose for myself. Thank you for all that you do. In ways large and small that feed this beloved community.
Your support of this church is an expression of the promises we make to each other and to the world. The contributions you make enable us to do the work we have pledged to do within our church community and out in the world. Each Sunday, the majority of our offering is passed on to community partners with whom we share common cause. If you would like to nominate an organization to receive our Sunday offering, please complete the nomination form found on the Unity's website. Unity Church has had a partnership with the Unitarian Church in the village of Homelands, St. Peter, Romania, for over 20 years. Unity's partner church ministry team nurtures that relationship, helps support the needs of the village, and organizes pilgrimages to help us connect more deeply with our own Unitarian heritage. Most recently, our partnership has helped with relief efforts for the people of Ukraine, and today's offering will help continue those efforts. Will the ushers please come forward? Please give as generously as you can today. We dedicate these offerings and ourselves to the greater work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community.
And now the news. Finding Yourself at Unity is from 10:15 to 11:15 in the Gannett Room. The topic this Sunday is Unitarian Universalist history. And I would like to put in a plug for our Finding Yourself at Unity. Even if you've been around for a long time, if there are curiosities that you have about what's the latest thing that's happening, or even the oldest history you may have missed, this is an opportunity for everyone. We all need to find ourselves from time to time. And adults, kids, families, singers, and non-singers are all invited to participate in today's Voices for Climate Song Circle with Unity's Act for the Earth team and their community partner, Minnesota Interfaith Faith, Power, and Light. Meet in the Foot Room at 3 o'clock this afternoon to sing together and to learn how to take action for climate justice. And now please join me, Rise in Body and Spirit, to sing Break Not the Circle, number The work of the church is the work of the people. It is the work of building the world of which we dream. It may require time spent poring over budget sheets, hours spent in meetings where small details are hashed out. It may manifest in shared laughter or outright frustration from time to time, but always it is sacred, for it is the pursuit of beloved community. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Go in peace. Amen.